Digital Nomad Secrets. Introduction. Do you ever get the feeling that your life isn't panning out quite the way it was meant to? Do you ever feel as though you're perhaps not taking full advantage of your freedom, of your health, of your youth? For many of us, life can feel like a long gauntlet of different tasks and responsibilities, punctuated by long periods of sitting around bored. We read stories, watch films, and play computer games that feature brave and bold heroes venturing into unknown lands, facing challenges, and generally living lives filled with excitement and exploration. Meanwhile, our own lives consist of sitting in an office all day getting shouted at by our boss, coming home on the train during a busy commute, and then sitting in at home on the couch not doing much at all, or maybe washing up. Our bodies are literally wasting away from a lack of movement. Our minds are starting to decay from a lack of challenge or interest, and in general, we are no longer challenging or pushing ourselves. And the most excitement we typically have is choosing which film to watch on a Friday night. But there's a whole world out there. We often have dreams, and we have plans to get out and see the world, or to start living a lifestyle that we'd actually find engaging and rewarding. But too often those plans seem just out of reach. Perhaps we don't have the money to afford to travel. Maybe we have too many responsibilities and can't take our children out of work. Maybe we're progressing too far in our current jobs. Maybe we're just too tired, too stressed, and too depressed to really take the effort to actually change our lives. Maybe you work the job you work not because we're passionate about it, or because you find it exciting, but rather because you needed to start earning an income fast, and this was the first place that you could do so. Maybe you thought you'd change careers at some point, but then you met your partner and settled down. Or maybe you started to progress up the ladder and moved out into rented accommodation. Either way, you now feel trapped. There's no way out, and no way to have that fulfilling and exciting life that you dreamed of. But every now and then, you see an image from a friend on Facebook, or perhaps from an advert or a blog, showing people who have found a way out of the rat race. People who seem to spend most of their time on beautiful beaches, cocktails in hand. People who are pursuing work that they care about and feel rewarded by. But more importantly, people who work primarily as a way to fund a lifestyle that they actually feel excited about. How? They became digital nomads. And with this book, you can do the exact same thing. What is a digital nomad? So just what is a digital nomad? Essentially, becoming a digital nomad is your way out. This is how you escape the rat race and start to see the world. A digital nomad is someone who works online and who uses that style of work in order to be able to travel, see the world, and live a life of adventure. Sounds too good to be true, right? But it makes perfect sense. Today, travel is cheaper than it has ever been. Budget airlines make it incredibly affordable to visit countries all over the world, while trains and coaches connect land within continents. Then you have things like Airbnb and couch surfing sites that make it even cheaper to find accommodation abroad and to really live as a part of the country you're in. Meanwhile, more and more people are starting to earn a living online. Many businesses are allowing their employees to work remotely, using tools like video conferencing software and collaboration software in order to stay in touch and continue working as part of the team. Those with an entrepreneurial streak, meanwhile, can just as easily make money from selling services online as web developers, writers, photographers, or coders. Or they can create their own businesses that can be run from anywhere in the world. Blogs, for example, or affiliate marketing schemes. And when you marry these two developments, it means that there is no longer any need to work from a small, crowded office. You can take your work with you on the road and that road is open to more people than ever before. Nothing is keeping you trapped in your current lifestyle. Nothing is stopping you from throwing on a backpack and heading out that door to begin a lifetime of adventure and travel. Of course, there are going to be a few challenges and struggles along the way. How do you travel if you have a family, for example? How do you transition to working online? And how do you ensure that you're able to stay productive when you're lost in another country? We'll be answering all those questions in this book. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and let's spend the next hour or so learning how you can become truly free again, just as you were always meant to be. The top benefits of being a digital nomad: you'll be able to travel the world. You'll have incredible experiences. You'll meet amazing and diverse people. You'll have legendary stories to tell. You'll grow as a person. You'll develop your skills as an entrepreneur. You'll have a taste of true freedom. You'll be able to do work that you find truly enjoyable and rewarding. You'll learn to become completely self-reliant. You'll learn more about yourself and about what you really need to be happy. You'll be joining a huge, growing community of like-minded individuals. You'll be a pioneer working in a fashion that would have been unthinkable even a decade ago. You'll improve your happiness, your health, and your perspective. Chapter 1: Unchain Yourself. When you become a digital nomad, you'll find there are good times and bad times. It's important to have a balanced idea of what this is really going to entail and what life as a nomad is really like. We'll talk about the struggles and tribulations of the digital nomad lifestyle later on. Suffice to say that this is not a lifestyle that will be for everyone, and that's okay. But for many, the positives are going to greatly outweigh the negatives. The feeling of true freedom, of being able to go anywhere you wish in an incredible foreign land, that's something that can't be understated. There will be moments as a digital nomad where everything just clicks into place, really magical moments that stay with you forever. Sometimes, these moments will be moments with other people. Imagine sitting in a hanging chair with a beautiful girl/guy and listening to the sea lapping against the shore. You realize you have a lot in common, and the night ends with you kissing under the stars as you hear the distant sounds of a bar not far away. Other times, these moments will be those moments of adventure and exploration. Imagine coming up over the top of a hill to realize that you've just discovered an incredible view from the top of a mountain, an absolutely breathtaking view. How often does your 9-5 lifestyle allow for moments like this? But other times, the moments are going to be much smaller. Sometimes you'll get these moments while you're working in a bar. People are passing by on the wet, cobbled streets outside, and you're busily working away, listening to bar music and sipping a local beer while you work. The lights are neon, and you're feeling inspired. What incredible moments! This is what you're working for as a digital nomad. This is why you're going to go through the challenges. This is why you must overcome the obstacles standing in your way. The cognitive shift, lifestyle design. The first step to becoming a digital nomad is to make the cognitive shift in your own mind, to start viewing yourself differently, and to start changing the way you consider your priorities and your commitments. We have been taught that certain variables in our lives are unchangeable, that there is just one way of doing things. Of course, this is not the case though, and actually, if you're willing to be creative, you can play with these elements any way you choose. Before you make this realization, internalize it and make it a part of your philosophy. You're going to struggle to truly make the necessary changes to becoming a digital nomad. The first thing you need to realize, for instance, is that you need to start working to live rather than living to work. Likewise, recognize that work in and of itself is not what should give your life value. Imagine that you could earn the same salary doing a job like rubbish collection. The job isn't particularly rewarding. there isn't a lot of career progression, but you can be finished by 4 p.m. and you never bring your work home with you. Do you take the job? A lot of people will answer no. Why? Because they feel they wouldn't get a sense of reward from that work. They wouldn't feel successful or like they were progressing. But the question to ask yourself is why you are getting your sense of reward and progression from your job to begin with. Why is this the only way you can feel like you're doing something worthwhile? This is one of the factors that makes people take on more and more responsibility and work harder and harder just to feel like they are successful. But instead, why not be successful by writing a book? Why not be successful by making art? Or by traveling the world? Why not get your sense of purpose and reward from the things you do outside your office? People tend to feel very proud about working hard, but what value does working hard truly have when the only result of that hard work is that a stapler gets delivered on time? Is that really what you want to measure success in your life by? Instead, then, ask yourself what it is that you really want from life. What do you want to achieve? What would make you truly happy? Then just think about what the easiest way to get to that point is. This way of thinking is known as lifestyle design, and it's the quickest way to improve your happiness and to get the very most out of life. An introduction to lifestyle design. To begin using lifestyle design in your own life, the first thing you need to do is to decide what it is that you want to try and achieve in your life. What is your passion? What gives you a sense of drive and motivation? To discover the answer, try picturing and visualizing the ideal life for yourself. What does it entail? Maybe your perfect life involves living in a massive house, having your own pool, and spending lots of time relaxing. Or maybe your perfect life involves spending more time with your friends and family. Maybe it involves creating music. Or maybe it involves traveling and seeing the world. Where do you picture yourself living? Who do you picture yourself living with? What are you spending your income on? The next thing to do is to start thinking about what the easiest and most effective way to accomplish those things is. And what is the best job when it comes to supporting that lifestyle? This is what a job should be. It should be the thing that best enables you to live the lifestyle that makes you happiest. It should support your life, not dictate it. And yet, so many people will come home late because their work demands it, or move to other parts of the country. Once you realize that your job should support your lifestyle, you might realize that actually, you'd be much happier if you didn't have an hour-long commute. Actually, you'd be much happier if you weren't stressed after work. And actually, you only need X amount of money in order to support your lifestyle. Meanwhile, you can reduce your outgoings in order to become wealthier on a lower salary, and to have more money to spend on the things that matter to you. And you can make other changes in your life, like moving to another part of the world. Follow your passion and don't let your job derail you. Becoming a digital nomad is just one example of lifestyle design. In this case, the lifestyle you are designing simply revolves around travel and adventure. And by choosing the right career, you're able to support that lifestyle and make it possible. You can have your cake and eat it. You don't have to play by the rules, and you don't have to live a conventional lifestyle. Chapter 2, Preparing for Your Journey. This is the realization you need to come to before you can start making progress toward a digital nomad lifestyle. This is what is going to empower you to make the necessary changes that will set you on that path. For example, you may find that the best way to embrace the digital nomad lifestyle is to quit your day job. This is something that many of us will struggle with a lot, but the reality is that there's no reason you can't do it or shouldn't do it. The worst case scenario is that your online work doesn't work out, and in that case, you just need to find work again. That's the worst case scenario. The alternative is to carry on working where you are, to never try and make the change and to continue being unhappy. Suddenly, that risk doesn't seem like such a big one. Many people will feel like they are throwing away their careers, but if it's not a career you're passionate about, then who cares? Your family will support you if things don't work out, and at least you will have tried. It's better to fail at trying something exciting than to succeed at doing nothing at all. To find a career that will support your digital nomad existence, you first need to calculate how much you are likely to spend, which tells you how much you need to earn. You can then look at ways of bringing down that expense. It's not all about how much you earn. Are you willing to couch surf? Are there some cheaper places you can visit to start with? Are you able to lease your own property to bring in a side salary/pay for your mortgage? Are you willing to eat into some of your savings? If it means that you're going to have the most incredible experience that you'll remember for the rest of your life. What will you do when you want to come home? Do you ever want to come home? When considering all this, it's going to be scary. It's not what we've been brought up to do. It's not how we're taught to think. It's probably not a good time. Know this, though, it is never a good time. You either do it now or you don't do it. And no matter what your circumstances, there are ways to get around it when you make your quality of life your priority. Come up with a plan for what you want to do and how you want to live, and then you'll be able to start creating the income you need to support those lifestyle decisions. Once you have your plan and you have the resolve to commit to it, the next thing to think about is how you're going to make it work, and more specifically, how you're going to fund your travels and your lifestyle. There are plenty of options, and we're going to look at a few of those in the coming chapters. Chapter 3. Go online for remote jobs. One thing you can do is to continue working your current job. The difference, of course, is that you're going to have to go remote. This is, again, something that a lot of us will feel anxious about. We won't want to ask our bosses if it's possible for fear of upsetting the apple cart. But at the end of the day, it's always worth asking, and it certainly can't hurt. With video conferencing and collaboration tools, it's now easier than ever to manage the majority of jobs abroad, and you can even find online time clock software to help you clock in and out, among other things. Speak with your current manager or boss about the possibility of working from home to begin with. Trial it if they say yes, and then try to take that to the next logical point and see if you can get them to let you work abroad. It will be no different. Some companies are, of course, going to dismiss this idea out of hand. There are legitimate reasons why some jobs can't be carried out in another country. For instance, if you're in a customer-facing job, then you might find that you're not able to work online. Likewise, you may well find that you can't very easily work online if your job involves operating a switchboard and answering lots of calls. Perhaps you need to be logged into the network. Maybe you need to be at work during particular hours. World Time Buddy can help you to sync your clock with home, but it won't help if their 3 p.m. is your 3 a.m. But don't give up right away. If they say no at first, then you can often find a workaround by compromising. Ask if there are any other jobs you can do within the organization that would allow you to travel. If they still say no, then ask if you could do part-time work or even freelance for them. Simply express your desire to work remotely. Explain that you want to travel and see the world, and then discuss to see if you can find an arrangement that works for all parties involved. At the end of the day, they will likely want to help you work in a way that you find rewarding and will probably be more flexible than you'd expect. If they want to keep you, then they'd rather you worked flexibly than left completely. Note, be ready to demonstrate how you can do your work just as well remotely. The onus is on you to make this work. So make sure they can see that you're able to work online while still doing the same amount you normally would. That means researching the software solutions and more if necessary. Find another job. Can't work from home at your current job. Not sure you want the responsibility and potential risk of running your own business. Another straightforward solution is simply to find another job that will allow you to work how you want. Obviously, there are some industries that are more likely to let you do this than others, so that's a good starting point. You could work for a web design company, for example, and in all likelihood, they'll let you work online. Likewise, you could become a journalist for a magazine. There's little reason you can't do that work remotely. Many big companies, like WordPress, are distributed around the entire world and more than happy to let you work from wherever you choose. Often, job descriptions will mention that you can work from home, and if they don't, then you can call or write in to inquire. This is a good option because it guarantees you'll have a stable income before you give up your current job. Just hunt around for a more flexible one and then leave. Remember, this might mean taking a pay cut or moving down the hierarchy, but that's okay. Find your own work. Another way to go about this is to approach businesses you'd like to work for and that operate predominantly online. For example, if you are a regular reader of a big blog, then you can always try contacting the editor and asking them if you can work for them. As I alluded to earlier, you can also work online as a sports commentator. A friend of mine does this job, and it essentially involves getting paid to watch his team play and write about it in real time. This is something he found simply by looking at the website of a sports site he went to regularly and spotting that they were advertising for work. These days, more and more companies operate online like this and advertise for full or part-time employees. Take a look around and even try Googling work for us and other terms that might bring up a result. Chapter 4. Start your own online business. While all the above is true, the predominant way that most people will earn while they travel is by working online with their own business. This gives you more freedom over how, where, and when you work, which in turn means you can spend more time doing incredible things or working in incredible spots. Earning money as a freelancer. The most obvious way to run a business online is to freelance. Freelance work simply means going out and looking for clients, and then completing work for them at a time that suits you. Normally, when you do this, you'll be working to a deadline. Around that deadline, though, it will be up to you how you want to work, and this is what will give you the freedom to travel as you wish and work when you wish. There are plenty of services you can provide online as a freelancer, and these include writing, editing, web design, coding, video production, consultation, personal training over Skype, for instance, marketing, promotion, career guidance, virtual assistant services, data entry, admin, moderation, sports commenting, and much more. Once you decide what it is you want to do, all you need to do then is to start finding the work. To give yourself the most stable income and the most flexibility to work and travel, you want to minimize the admin and the comms, so try finding a few big clients and sticking with them. Offer bulk discounts and reduced rates for repeat customers. Start off by looking for people you know you can work with, and if you don't have any such contacts, then try looking online at freelancing sites like Upwork. On this site, people advertise for work and advertise for services. Another option is to look on webmaster forums. These are forums where people discuss internet marketing and website management. If you head onto these sites, then you can advertise your work and often find websites that need skills like graphic design or copywriting. Or how about visiting Nomads? This is a website and online community that supports digital nomads and provides them with an easy means to find work, discuss the lifestyle, and more. Selling services. Being a freelancer is one way you can make money selling a service online. Actually, though, there are also several others, and not every option has to be B2B necessarily. In fact, many of the services you might traditionally have provided face-to-face can now be provided online. How about offering personal training, for example? All you need to do is to find clients and then consult with them over Skype. You could even offer extra services like texts to remind them to go to the gym, etc. What about a dating agency? Let people come to you and then help them polish up their dating profile and more. For something like this, all you need is a consultation session and then perhaps access to their dating profiles. You could be a lifestyle coach too, or a business consultant. In fact, you can even offer a lot of services as a lawyer online. This could mean offering affordable legal advice, or even handling things like conveyancing. I bought a house recently, and I never once had to meet my conveyancing lawyer. And this is especially easy thanks to many of the modern tools, apps, and services available once again. DocuSign, for example, makes it easy to sign documents over the web. In many cases, you might find that you can do your current job in this fashion. If you currently work for a Virgin Active gym, then just tell your favorite clients that you're going freelance and that they can cheaply access your services online. Cut hair. How about telling your current clients that you'll be running a style consultation service online that they can access via Skype if they want to? Be creative. Think outside the box, and really you can do any job that doesn't require you to be physically present. Creating passive income while finding clients and providing a service online is a great way to experience the freedom to work from anywhere and whenever you like. It is still ultimately very restricting in other ways. At the end of the day, you still need to meet your deadlines, and to all extents and purposes, you still have bosses who will be unhappy if you don't completely your work to a good standard. When you work a service, you're going to have to balance your time between traveling and exploring these different countries, while at the same time also trying to get enough work done. When you can't find a plug socket, or when you have too much you want to see and do, this can be a big cause of stress. And it's for that reason that you might consider creating a passive income business model instead. This is essentially a business model that will generate income without you having to actively work on it. That is not to say that you're making money for doing nothing. Rather, it means you're putting in some work up front and then profiting for a while to come afterward. How can this possibly work? There are a few strategies you can use. Sell a digital product. Digital products are products like ebooks and digital courses that don't require any work on your part to produce. You create them once, and from there, you can then sell them as many times as you want. There's no delivery to worry about and no storage. There are plenty of examples of how this can work, but you can sell from your own web page and send traffic there with an advertising campaign. You can sell something like an app or a Kindle ebook through a ready-made distribution network, the Kindle store or the iTunes store, or you can let other marketers promote your product for commission. Affiliate marketing. This means that you're selling a product you didn't make and getting commission. Many creators are happy to offer as much as 75% of their profits to try and encourage more people to help them sell. And this means you can make almost as much money as you would do from your own product, but with no need to create anything. You just make a landing page and then advertise it to get people to buy through your referral link. Service arbitrage essentially means that you are buying and selling a service and profiting simply by taking advantage of differences in market prices. For example, many Indian web designers are happy to charge a small amount in US dollars because the money will go further in their home country. That makes them highly competitive with US web design companies. What you can do then is to find web design clients and then hire the Indian web company to complete the work on your behalf. You simply take a little off the top and pocket the difference. The best thing about this method of making money is that a lot of smaller companies actually expect you to resell their work and are happy to have you simply passing on the orders. These are called white label services, and they essentially act like ghost writers, ghost web designers. Dropshipping is a way that you can sell physical products, perhaps through an online e-commerce store, and not actually have to deliver them. You do this by finding wholesalers that offer fulfillment services. They will split the profits with you and handle everything from the storage to the delivery. Best of all is that they once again are often happy to be white label, meaning that the people you deal with won't even know they exist. That means that they will feel as though they're buying directly from you. Creating content somewhere in between passive income and providing a service is to run a blog, a website, or a YouTube channel. Doing this allows you to build your own audience of loyal followers and then profit from advertising, sponsorship, or even sales of a digital product. This isn't truly passive income because you'll still need to regularly update the site, but you are not beholden to any deadlines other than the ones you set, and this means that you can work at a pace that is comfortable for you. Want to take the day off to explore the Roman Forum? No one will stop you. This is actually the ideal scenario because now you'll be earning money by doing a job that you truly feel passionate about. You'll have the satisfaction of having online followers and fans, and you'll be able to build a name for yourself that could potentially be very profitable. The downside is that this type of work takes the longest to have any success with. Everyone wants to make money from a blog, but not everyone is successful. This takes a lot of patience, a lot of smarts, and a fair bit of luck. But it's definitely doable. The key is to provide real value, to do something different from everyone else, and to spend enough time and effort necessary to swamp the search engines and social media with content. The great news, though, you now have a perfect topic to blog about. Travel and the digital nomad lifestyle are hot topics right now, and you'll have the value proposition and desirable lifestyle to really help build an enthusiastic following and encourage some sales. This is such a great and easy lifestyle to promote. Post a picture of yourself working on the beach with an incredible sunset in the background, and that's the kind of thing that gets followers. Note, there are many other ways that you can use your lifestyle to help you find more work too. For example, you can sell photographs of the scenery or the wildlife where you are, and you'll find it's very easy to find buyers. Or how about travel writing for a magazine or publishing company? Chapter 5, Taking Your Work on the Road. Once you've made the mental and practical preparations for traveling abroad, and you've actually found the work you want to do, another thing to consider is just how you're going to make this work practically. Because of course you are going to find that working in a coffee shop in a developing country is very different from working in a cushy office. You're going to be working at different hours to your colleagues and business partners. You're going to have a lack of Wi-Fi, a lack of power, and you're going to need to carry all of that stuff on your back. This is going to take some preparation and planning, and a complete change to the way that you go about your workday. Fortunately, we're going to provide you with all the tips you'll need in this chapter. Gear for working on the road. First, what technology and gear will best help you to stay productive while you're on the road? Let's take a look at some of the options. Computer. The first thing you're going to need is, of course, some kind of computer. The aim here is going to be finding something that has the perfect combination of lightness, small size, and functionality. Some good options include the Surface Pro 4. The Microsoft Surface Pro 4 is a brilliant tablet/laptop hybrid from Microsoft. The tablet portion houses all of the components necessary to run the PC, and these include some surprisingly top-end specs like a Skylake i7 processor, 16 GB of RAM, and a fast SSD hard drive. The setup also benefits from fantastic optimization with Windows 10. Microsoft controls the hardware and the software here, which results in you getting a lot more horsepower than you would from a similarly spec'd device from a third-party manufacturer. The best part is the clip-on keyboard cover. This uses a powerful magnet to attach and then stays firmly in place. It can be conveniently used on your lap, thanks to a smart fold near the top and a brilliant kickstand, and it's incredibly light when thrown in a bag. Combine all this with a brilliant digitizer pen for artwork and signing documents, and you have an incredibly capable, versatile machine no matter your chosen job. The Surface Book i7, while the Surface Pro 4 is a brilliant machine, it will struggle a little if you're working as a travel vlogger with a 4K camera to edit with. The solution is to grab yourself something with a little more oomph, and in that case, you'll be well served by the excellent Surface Book i7, also called Surface Book with Performance Base. This is a convertible laptop like the Surface Pro, except with a fuller keyboard that houses a massive battery and external GPU. That GPU is more than capable of editing 4K in Photoshop, while the battery will mean you don't need to worry quite so much when you're between power outlets. Windows tablets. For all their impressive features, the Surface Book and Pro are both expensive machines and won't be to everyone's tastes or budget. With that in mind, you may do better to find another Windows machine, which will also give you the flexibility to find something a little smaller. Many Windows computers are 8 or even more powerful. MacBook Air. The 13 MacBook Air is another example of a computer that is brilliantly light, and that performs excellently thanks to a single company, Apple, controlling the whole experience. This is the laptop of choice for many digital entrepreneurs and those who enjoy the laptop lifestyle, and it's once again up to video editing and other power-hungry tasks. A phone, as well as a computer, you're also going to need a phone for all your other communication tasks. This is your lifeline as a nomad, so it's something you need to give real thought and consideration to. And getting the right extra accessories and gadgets will help a great deal. For starters, you need to make sure you have a good plan, ideally with inclusive roaming. Speak with your mobile provider and make sure that whatever phone you get, you'll be able to make calls from the countries you're visiting without spending a fortune. When choosing the device itself, you should look for something with good signal, good battery, and the capability of acting as a backup computer. For battery, one of the best options right now is the Vodafone Platinum Smart 7. This phone has a genuine 2-day battery life, and on idle it loses almost no juice. This isn't the most exciting feature, but if it saves you from running out of juice in the middle of nowhere, then it is very much worth it. In terms of signal and resilience, though, you may want to look into getting a satellite phone. This is the type of phone that will give you signal and GPS even when you're on top of a mountain somewhere, and again, it can be a lifesaver. And then again, a water-resistant phone like the Galaxy S7 can be a great choice, as it means you don't need to worry about getting wet. The S7 also has a brilliant camera, which will come in incredibly useful if you're running a travel Instagram account. As for doubling as a computer, always choose Android. This will let you transfer files using an actual file system, run MS Word, and generally perform the most tasks when your computer falls asleep. Phone accessories. When your computer does fall asleep, it's a good idea to have a small mouse and a small keyboard to hand, along with a stand for your phone. This way, you can turn your phone into mini computer replacement and start working wherever you are, even without your PC. Two great options again come from Microsoft. These are the Microsoft Folding Keyboard and Microsoft Arc Mouse. The folding keyboard is a keyboard that, you guessed it, folds entirely in half. This can then be slipped into a bag or even a pocket. It's wireless, can be paired with two devices simultaneously, and is even water resistant. The Arc Mouse has a similar trick of folding completely flat. With these two items, you'll be able to continue working even when your computer runs out of juice. Another tip is to bring a power brick. This is something you can carry with you that will provide extra charge for your camera. Whether for work or play, you're going to want a good camera while you travel. And actually, I would recommend 3 good cameras, specifically a vlogging/videography camera, a phone camera, a GoPro. The main camera is what you'll use to take tourist shots, and what you'll use to make footage for a blog or as a travel writer. This should be something affordable but high quality. A great choice is the Canon G7X, which is an ideal choice for YouTubers not wanting to break the bank. If you are recording video, then I also recommend getting a lapel mic that you can plug into your phone. You can record audio separately and then sync them both in post-production. Your phone camera is what you'll use when you have nothing else to hand. It's also going to be your main tool for running your social media. Make sure it has a good wide-angle selfie camera. Finally, a GoPro will allow you to capture first-person action footage of your adventures. Whether you're rock climbing, wind surfing, or surveying incredible vistas, you can keep this on and not worry about it getting wet or damaged. Headphones. Bring yourself a pair of folding, Bluetooth, noise-canceling headphones. This might sound like an unnecessary indulgence/waste of money, but in reality, you're going to find that this is one of the most important things you can bring with you, and something that you will come to absolutely rely upon. For starters, headphones will allow you to block out ambient and background noise. That means that if you're in a noisy bar, you'll still be able to work. And it means that if you're on a plane and can't sleep, you can also use the noise canceling. A good tip is to get headphones that also include a mic. This way, it can double as comms when you want to go hands-free, or when you need to speak to someone on Skype, which, as we've seen, will be useful for a large variety of different types of job. The art of working out of cafes. But just because you have the tech, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to easily work wherever you are. What happens when you have no power? When you can't find Wi-Fi? When there are no cafes for miles? The first way to solve this issue is to make sure that you do your research before you head out. This is one of the most important tips there is when it comes to working online, and it can save you some serious stress. There are plenty of websites and other tools you can use to find which areas nearby offer Wi-Fi, and that way track it down. Failing this, there are a few places you can look if you're just trying your luck. Cafes, especially chains like Costa or Starbucks. Libraries, train stations, buses. If you can't find Wi-Fi in any of these spots, then look for a cyber cafe. Of course, it will also often be useful to use your phone's GPS when trying to track down these sorts of locations. In order to make that a little bit easier, another important tip is to download the map from Google Maps before you head off. If you absolutely can't find Wi-Fi, then you're going to have to make do with tethering or a dongle. If you don't have either, then consider visiting a phone store and buying a solution out there you'll normally be able to find something. The worst-case scenario is to ping off an email and let your client know that your work is finished, but you're having troubles connecting. Of course, emails are reliant on some internet, so collect their SMS numbers too. As for power, the Power Brick and Phone with Keyboard solution can always work. You can also often find power in libraries, on trains and buses, at train stations, even in shops. If you can't find power anywhere and don't have a Power Brick, consider buying one from a local technology store. Most supermarkets sell them these days. They usually come with some charge on them. There are some other smart gadgets you can use to get out of these predicaments too. Crank is an iPhone case, for example, that has an actual crank on the back that you can use to generate power. Carrying a spare battery is also always an option, as is looking for a solar charger. Solar chargers aren't particularly powerful, but they will be useful in a pinch. Chapter 6. Getting all your ducks in a row. You know what kind of travel you want to do. You have your online work set up, and you have the tools and skills you need to work on the road. Are you ready to go yet? Not quite, I'm afraid. You still need to sort out the legality of your travel, the finances, and your travel kit. But don't worry, I'm going to walk you through it. The reality is that you're going to find you have no problem a lot of the time, and that you really struggle every now and then. On my own travels, I have worked outdoors on my phone with my folding keyboard in the rain, and I've begged receptionists in hotels to send files from my SD cards. These things happen, but actually, that's part of the fun of being a digital nomad, and you will be very surprised some of the places you can find free Wi-Fi. You'll struggle in London unless you can find a library or coffee shop. Try huddling in the doorway. But up a mountain in Croatia with not a sign of life nearby. No problem. This is not a random example, but rather something I actually experienced when working in KRKA National Park. Beautiful waterfalls there, and definitely worth checking out. Your travel kit bag. First of all, you'll need to bring a lot more than just items that you can use to get work done. Remember, the point of this trip is to have a good time, not just to work. So you need to bring things that will make the trip as comfortable as possible as well. Some important considerations include your bag. Of course, the bag itself is going to be one of the most important things you can bring with you as a digital nomad. Specifically, you are going to want a backpack, and this should be one that you can use to store lots of things while staying comfortable. Look for breathable meshes on the back, look for padded straps, and look for waist belts. This will all help when you're trekking up a mountain or across a desert. The bag should also have plenty of pockets, including concealed pockets. I personally take 2 bags, one of which is actually a chest bag that is intended for use by anglers. The benefit of this is that I can keep important documents where I can see them and even fit in a small 8 computer. Yet you'll find that airlines don't count this as an additional item of hand luggage when. Towel. You'll get wet from time to time, and you'll need to dry off. What's more is that your things will get wet, and you'll want to wipe rain water off of seats. For these jobs, I recommend a microfiber towel. This is a towel made from a microfiber material that can be rolled very small and even fitted into a pocket. It dries in a matter of minutes, and in short, it is a lot easier to bring with you than a full-sized, sopping wet towel. Clothes. When packing clothes, it's important to think small, light, and versatile. Create a capsule wardrobe so that every item can be worn with every other item without looking awful, and choose things that ideally don't need to be ironed. It is possible to get non-iron shirts from companies like Mizzen and Maine, and these look brilliant even when they've been rolled into a ball. And rolling your shirts into a ball is a great tip. It takes up much less space that way. Kindle. A Kindle is an incredibly useful gadget to take with you on holiday that will give you infinite reading material while taking up barely any space. The best part is that if you get a Generation 1 or 2 Kindle, then you'll also get an experimental browser with free 3G coverage all around the world. How is that for a digital nomad secret? Bring this with you and you'll be. Documents and practical considerations. When you go on holiday, there are a few things you need to consider. Visas, documents, and travel insurance, for example. So it only stands to follow that when you go traveling for an indefinite time period, there is far more to sort out. And doing this before you leave getting all your ducks in a row is going to help you to reduce stress and avoid problems while you're on the road. Follow this checklist to get everything straight. Travel insurance. If you're traveling abroad, then you should always take out travel insurance. You'll want something fairly comprehensive that will allow you to hop continents, engage in sports and other activities, and cover the cost of your belongings. The good news is that it's easy these days to get travel insurance online and on your mobile, and many of these apps will let you update your policy as you travel to adapt to your changing requirements. Bills and post. If you're going to be away from your home for 3 months or more, then you need to make sure that your post isn't going to pile up. Not only will this make it apparent that you're away, but it will also mean that you might miss an important bill. Make sure that you set up forwarding on your address and have your mail sent to a good friend or your parents. Let them open those letters, and they can update you on anything important. Meanwhile, you can ask many service providers and banks to send their statements and bills digitally. This saves paper and makes life easier for you. Of course, you should also cancel magazine subscriptions, broadband, cable TV, and anything else that you're not going to need. Legalities. If you're spending more than a few months in any country, then you might need a visa. In fact, you're likely to need a visa even to enter some countries. And what's more is that you need to check with your own local law as to whether there's a maximum time you can remain out of the country, in which case you might need to make temporary return visits. You'll need to find out if you need to pay council tax in different countries, whether you're allowed to get jobs abroad, and more. All of this is important to research before you set sail. There are few things more stressful than being on a plane only to hear an announcement that you need a visa to enter the country that you don't have. Phone. As mentioned already, it's important to ensure that you'll have phone coverage abroad. Speak with your mobile provider and ask what their best options are for people who travel a lot. Data roaming and having a lot of data is particularly important, so you can tether to your mobile when you need to. You may also want to forward calls to your home to your mobile. House care. If you're leaving a house empty, then consider discussing with a friend or family member if they would be willing to come in and look after your plants occasionally, or perhaps turn the lights on to make it look like someone is home. Another tip is to consider setting up a remote digital camera in your home so that you can check on it from abroad. This is a great way to get peace of mind when you're worrying. Your travel documents pack. If you're going abroad, then there will almost always be a plethora of different documents you need to bring with you. That will not only mean your passport, which you need to ensure is up to date, but it will also mean your boarding pass, your hotel confirmation, any maps that you need, etc. Print all this information out, make multiple copies, and then stick them in your various bags to bring with you. Print more information than you need, and make sure you have hard copies as well as digital in case your phone fails you. There are also a fair few financial considerations to consider, so we'll take a look at those in the next chapter, Chapter 7. Preparing your finances. You've got your documents and your bag ready. Your online business is set up and ready to go, and you have a good knowledge of where you're going. Now you just need to worry about your money, cash, and checks what to bring. There's no way that you can bring all the cash you're going to need for an indefinitely long journey with you. For that reason, then, you'll need to bring cards, checks, and more. At any given point, you should have enough money to last you about a week. This will ensure that you won't get into trouble if you should lose your card, and you'll still be able to get home or at least stay a few nights in a hostel. Another tip is to keep a little cash separate and safe. For example, try keeping some in your shoe, and that way, even if your things get stolen, you'll have some cash to get by. You can also try using traveler's checks. These can be cashed in abroad but require ID, which means they are useless to anyone who steals them from you. If you have life savings, then make sure it is very difficult for anyone who gets hold of your things to access them. Security is a big issue when you travel. The bank, you'll need to let your bank know that you're no longer at your current address, and you'll probably want to use a parent or friend's address instead. You also need to speak with your bank about withdrawing cash. Make sure you're with a bank that makes it easy for you to get money out abroad, and consider switching if yours carries a hefty fee. Better yet is to get a credit card. Not only do these work abroad, but they also protect you against having your cash stolen. Because the money isn't yours, it will be on the credit card company to chase it up. Another tip is to consider getting a PayPal card. This again gives you an extra layer of security by allowing you to shop without handing over bank details. And better yet, you're likely to get paid by many clients online through PayPal. Thus, the money never needs to even visit your bank account. Financing. The hope, of course, is that you're going to earn money online in order to finance your trip, but it can also be useful to have other income streams. One, as mentioned, is to rent out your home, in which case you'll probably want to use a property management company to handle the day-to-day administration, and you'll need a storage unit to keep your things. You'll likewise need to find storage if you are renting, and you're not going to have anywhere to come back to. Another option is to take out a loan. This might seem reckless, but again, the way to look at it is as spending money on what is likely to be one of the most amazing and transformative experiences of your life. It's far from reckless or a waste, and a good option here is to get a PayPal loan. This works very well with the PayPal card option, because you'll be able to fill your PayPal account without worrying about withdrawing. It has zero impact on your credit rating, and you will be able to pay it back out of payments you receive from clients and customers. In other words, you'll only need to pay it back as your online earnings are working out. You don't need to have a big lump sum of money to go traveling like this, but if you can get some from PayPal or another source, then it will free you to explore more openly and worry less about cash. Budgeting. Finally, it is always a good idea to plan your trip and to pay careful attention to your budgeting as you do. Plot a route through the countries you wish to visit, while ensuring that you're going to be able to afford to visit them on the salary you're likely to be earning. Again, try looking for ways to cut cost, such as using Skyscanner to find the cheapest flights, Airbnb, and couch surfing. There is a resource sheet that comes with this ebook, and if you check that, you'll find plenty of excellent tools to help you plot your trip and save money on the road. Chapter 8. Ignoring the urge to procrastinate. With everything set up, you can now pack your things and head off. The only problem is that you're also going to need to actually work. And when you step foot in an incredible country with endless things to do and see, it will be very hard to choose to sit down and work for 8 hours straight. So how do you balance work and play? How do you resist the urge to forget work? How to balance work and play? The first thing to do is to recognize that what you do the day before will affect you today. In other words, It's not as simple as splitting your work between morning and night. Because if you go out raving all night tonight and drink everything under the sun, you won't have a good day of work tomorrow. Keep this in mind and treat your work nights as you would do anywhere else. That said, though, you should make sure that you make the absolute most of wherever you are and whatever you're doing during your free hours. The more you do this, the less resentful you'll feel when you're stuck on the computer. Another tip is to try and get into a routine as far as possible. If you work at different hours every day, then your biological rhythms will not sync. One of the best things about working online is that you can find what time you work best, and then make sure you work during those hours. That way you'll be working at the points when you are optimally effective. This doesn't have to mean working 9-5 though. What works best for you will depend on your personal preferences and also on where you are and what your job is. Maybe you work for 15 hours 3 days of the week and relax for the remaining 4. Maybe you work 7 a.m. 10 a.m. and then again at 4 p.m. 7 p.m. Either way, find a flow and then stick to it once you find something that works. Finally, try to make your work environments as conducive and enjoyable as possible. Because actually, working on a project you're passionate about in a rich environment can be ideal to help you get into the flow and get more work done. Look for classy hotels, nice libraries, and cool cafes. I was once building a virtual reality app in a library in Switzerland. The library was in a loft and had lots of wooden beams, along with windows looking out to snow-capped mountains. It was pretty ideal, especially as there was free espresso. Chapter 9. The drawbacks of a nomadic lifestyle. While there are countless things to love about the nomadic lifestyle, there are also things to not love. The key is to have a realistic set of expectations when you set off, as that way these setbacks won't come as a surprise and you'll know how to deal with them. The struggles of being a nomad. Creature comforts. The thing that prevents many people from becoming a digital nomad is that they know they are going to miss their creature comforts too much. The comforts that fall into this category include things like hot cups of tea, things like their favorite TV shows, and things like hot baths. Unless you happen to be one of those filthy rich internet marketers, you are going to find you have to stay in hostels a lot of the time, which means sharing accommodation with a bunch of other smelly travelers and constantly worrying about your laptop. It also means having to wear the same clothes for weeks unless you wash them in the sea. You can also go to a laundrette, but seeing as you don't know the area, you'll have to sit with your things. While working, probably, even simple tasks become a challenge when you're abroad. Then there are the things that you'll miss about your own country. Foods, the customs, and even the fact that the signs are in a language you understand. Which brings us to the next point, the language barrier. Sure, the language barrier is part of the fun and part of the charm when you're working abroad. That is until you're starving up a mountain in Poland and you just want something to eat, but accidentally order a bowl of hot water with an egg floating in it because you can't read the recipe. Again, this is a genuine example, this time from the Tatra Mountains in Zakopane. Amazing views, occasionally odd cuisine, the danger. There's no way to get around this. Being a digital nomad can be dangerous. If you get ill, then you're going to be relying on the local hospital and medical services. You don't know your way around, and so you might find yourself vulnerable in a rough part of town, and your belongings will be at risk when you leave them in hostels. This is all even more dangerous if you also decide to trek up mountains and surf. The difficulty of work. Becoming a digital nomad, you will probably expect to gain complete freedom and to be able to live a life full of adventure. Often, though, it won't feel like that at all. Relaxed though you may be about your work, this doesn't change the fact that you will need an income, And sometimes that will result in your having to work when it's not convenient. And that means that sometimes you're going to be in a beautiful city with a booming social scene, only to find yourself sitting in the dark working. Or you'll have to wake up at 3 a.m. because your client is in a different time zone. And when you can't find a plug socket or an internet connection, things can get more stressful still. Technology. Yes, the lack of a plug socket is a big stress, but so too is the lack of a Wi-Fi connection, or sand in your keyboard, or a huge mobile bill. At this point, you're going to be highly reliant on your technology. And if it goes wrong, you'll be stranded in a foreign country with no recourse. Things and people you miss. You'll also find yourself missing a lot of things. We've covered creature comforts and basic personal security, but you'll also find yourself missing people a lot, of course, especially family. If you're in a relationship, then this can positively break that relationship. You'll even miss your things. There will be times when you think about your favorite film or book, or when you wish you could load up your powerful PC to play some decent games. What about your warm shower or your beautiful garden? Imagine sitting on a beach in Africa and missing your wife again. Not a random example. A career. While it's true that your sense of fulfillment should not come from your career, it sure can sting to get offered an amazing job or piece of work and have to turn it down because you're working abroad. When you consider the issues with your career and with your family, it can be a big hit to your personal life to decide to become a digital nomad. Compromise solutions. For many people, all of these issues will be manageable, and they will pale in comparison to the amazing benefits and wonders of being able to travel the world while working. But for others, well, they won't. And if you feel that way, then you might decide that being a digital nomad is not for you. But that's okay. Using the tips in this book, you can still quit your day job and you can still enjoy some lifestyle design. How about working out of coffee shops and tourist attractions in your own country? Maybe renting a log cabin. Or how about just traveling more often, going on 5 trips a year instead of 1 holiday? Chapter 10. Are you ready for the journey of a lifetime? But if you do decide that this lifestyle is for you, then you're going to need to finalize your plans and get ready to set off. All that's left to do is to finalize your travel arrangements. Plot a course between different countries. Start by thinking about the type of travel you want to do. Then list the things you'd like to see. Consider using travel groups, meditation retreats, conservation resorts, and more. This will give you the opportunity to meet more people and to find things you wouldn't otherwise look at forums, and find insider tips on where to visit. Book your travel using the tools we've recommended and other sites like Expedia. Research visas and anything else you're going to need. Print everything out. Make sure to leave leeway. Book the start of your journey, but for later portions, just research some options rather than having anything set in stone. Discuss accommodation with couch surfing users, but tell them you may yet cancel. Download all the apps and tools you're likely to use. Buy the hardware you're going to need. Try to mix your hotels and hostels. Sleeping rough several nights will help you to save cash, while spending a few nights in nice hotels will let you recharge your batteries, literally as well. Tell people you're going, pay off debts, cancel your bills, count down the days. Conclusions and closing comments. Hopefully you're now brimming with excitement and your mind is racing with possibilities. Where will you go? What will you see? The possibilities are truly endless, and you really don't need to be a nomad in the typical sense. Remember, lifestyle design is about living the life you want to lead and not traveling to developing countries or the middle of Africa because you think that's what you are meant to be doing. If your idea of being a nomad is to live in nice log cabins, driving from destination to destination. Then go for it. And as we mentioned, you don't even need to leave the country necessarily to be a nomad. The world is your oyster. You are truly free. The hardest part, though, is always going to be taking that first step and making the leap, making the decision to start putting your life first, and being bold enough to quit a good job. But here's one last invaluable tip. It doesn't have to be binary. You don't need to become a nomad overnight. Why not set up an online business using some annual leave over the course of a week? See how much money you can earn. You can then run it in the evenings and on the weekends, maybe even trial traveling as you do it. And then only if it works do you need to quit your job and actually set off. The sky is the limit, but you have to take the leap. Good luck.